What's up, y'all? This is day 20 of my building of the hospitality management system that I'm building for clients. If we haven't met, my name is Jason Littrell. I'm a hospitality management consultant based here in New York City, and I serve bars and restaurants all over the world, especially with scaling and automation and systemization problems. So the thing that I'm building today is kind of the thrust of the hospitality of the HR element of it. Now, there's a concept in marketing called the product of the product of the product. So the product is the stuff that you sell. The product of the product is like the way you feel when you buy it. And then the product of the product of the product is the person that you become or the identity that you adopt by purchasing that product. So that's what we're really selling in product sales. So with this mentality, with this ideology, this is what I'm building today is a solution to the problem of the problem of the problem. So the problem is that like nobody's coming to the restaurant, right? The problem of the problem is that no money's coming in. And then the problem of the problem of the problem, the source of all three of those problems is that there's probably either a product problem or a staff problem. And so what I'm working on today is the latter. So I'm working on the staffing problem. So if you have a flywheel of sorts where you have an endless supply of great talent coming in, and you're constantly nurturing them, reinforcing them, retraining them, they're going to stay longer, which means that you don't have to recruit it. You don't have to recruit as hard anymore. They are not going to churn out. They're not going to piss off customers, and they're going to tell their friends what a great place to work it is. So you don't have to look for people so hard. So it creates this kind of flywheel effect. And so the system that I'm building out today it all revolves around a recruiting event, which will happen once a month. So every bar restaurant should always be recruiting all the time. You should always be looking for talent because life events, people change all the time. But this is a business critical element. Like if you don't have people selling your stuff or like cleaning the restaurant or cooking the food, then you don't have a product. So this is a very, very valuable lesson here that we've learned only recently, that culture matters. And if you are not big enough to have a full-time HR person that manages this stuff for you, then to do it manually, then you need processes and automations. And even places that do have HR and back office staff, like small groups and stuff like that, typically don't have these kind of systems in place. It's typically just document processing, yada, yada, yada. But getting back to the culture piece, is how are you remembering what people's work anniversaries are? Are you remembering their birthdays? Are you celebrating milestones? Are you giving them rewards for great service? Are you incentivizing people for doing amazing things? And so that's part of what I'm building. But the piece that I'm building today is the initial engagement. So like somebody comes into the bar restaurant and says they're looking for a job, which is becoming rarer and rarer, by the way. Then what do you do at that point? And then how do you make sure, like, how do you train them from the very beginning, even before they have a job, what the business is about, what your values are, what kind of person you look for, what your investment is in those people that work there, so that you're finding people that are just top tier talent, and so you never have to look. And so part of the process is that, like, first of all, I'm kind of debating whether or not we need somebody to come in person. I think that I'm okay with somebody applying virtually, but we are likely going to have people attend an event. So like a 3-hour event once a month, and then if you apply if you engage in the system, which is a quick form, by the way, name, phone number, and email address, then we will confirm you for the event, send you a calendar invite. And then send you emails leading up to the event, saying that we're looking forward to seeing you. By the way, here's the thing that you might want to know about us. And then we're if these are like qualifying things, so like we can track if they open up the emails first of all, and we can see if they're like organized enough, if they check their emails, like if they all this other stuff. So there's like legal HR stuff that we're definitely mindful of, but then there's like the technical stuff of like how do we get people to remind them and nurture them into the event while telling the story of the bar restaurant to make sure that they understand what they're getting themselves into. And so then there's the actual event where you kind of reinforce the values that you've portrayed in the onboarding sequence or in the in the nurture sequence leading up to the recruiting event, and then the next stage from that is doing either one-on-one or group interviews, which we also manage, and then from there there's like two or three interviews depending on how the client wants the process. And each of them with different levels, different understandings of what the expectations are. And then there's ultimately an offer letter, which we will send to a candidate who's been, if somebody is offered a job, then we will send them a legally binding offer letter, which is a legal protection as well, by the way. So we send them send the candidate a letter that they can sign, and then we kick them off to the next process to do the physical paperwork if that's what's required in the local, state, and federal laws in that country, and then we kick it off to a manager to assign them and oversee their first 30 days. And so the first 30 days is a regimented program where we have like specific milestones and goals that we want each employee to achieve, and to just to make sure that they have a clear understanding of what they're doing. And all this is like on the clock. It's, they're getting paid for this time to learn. It's an investment, but that's why we have such a rigorous pre-employment process, is because we want to make sure that we're getting the right people that are willing to do this stuff, that really have the mindset required to be an excellent asset to the company. Because if you invest early into this kind of training, the dividends pay off for years. So it's an asymmetrical return on that kind of investment, and that's kind of what we're trying to systematize and operationalize for each client at scale. So if you have 20 employees at your restaurant, let's say you have 5 restaurants, then that's 100 employees. So you'd want to make sure that process was systematized, documented, in case anything happened, and you want to make sure that every interaction with that person is documented, which the system does automatically. And we use a CRM for that. So basically, we treat staff similarly to customers, and the fact that we document every interaction, we record when it's appropriate, and it's all above board and transparent. So this is the fun stuff for me. This is my nerd level 10. But it's like success, winning, profitability. It's not an event, it's a process, and every process can be documented, and some parts of the process can be automated. Again, I'm reticent of the fact that we are in hospitality and that personal touch is required. And it's much more personal. I mean, there's no, like, robots cannot replace this, but more often than not, essential work that protects you from liabilities, and essential work that makes people feel really good doesn't get done. And so through a system of nudging and automations and a little bit of artificial intelligence, we are going to make that process extremely reliable and at scale. All right, that's all I got for you today. See you next time.